What's up? I'm Vivian. You're watching Vivian's Chick. Hello. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about going at your own pace because it's very important, especially on the self-healing journey. And the plant of the week is this beautiful Cupid peperomia. I am obsessed with the fact that it just stays up. No support, no need. It is its own support. But let's get into it. We all experience life differently. Sure, there are areas where you can generalize it, but we experience it differently when it comes to the specifics. And we all have different communication and processing styles, which makes our life different. Again, like I said. And the thoughts and the mental states and all of that creates a different pace that you have to work at. Creates different obstacles, different ideas, different views and perspectives of the world. So going at your own pace is taking all those into account and formulating a plan of action based on yourself. We have been taught to not base our plan of attacks on ourselves, but more on the way that it works for everyone else. And sometimes that doesn't work for everyone because generalizing sometimes isn't the best choice. Don't get me wrong, there are always areas where generalizing helps, but you have to personalize things, and I mentioned this in one of my other videos. When you personalize your experience and the ways that you are working with yourself and your life and your goals and ambitions, you're going to get there with clarity, understanding of self, new perspectives, new patience. You are expanding your capacity for yourself and others by taking into account your own existence, if that makes sense. So you're allowing yourself to build upon what you already know and learning what you already know through healing and through the world around you. And I've talked about reprogramming a lot on my page, but maybe this is your first video and you don't know what I'm saying. Reprogramming is when you go back through all of these processes of your mind. You just sit there and you think it through. Take an example of something that happened, the way you reacted to it, why you reacted that way, what the root issue was, and if the root issue was correct or wrong. If you corrected it properly or you reacted correctly, or if you reacted to a past event in a new form. That may sound confusing. If you reacted to the present event as something that was the past, that were two different situations because they seemed in your mind to feel the same. And there will be a self-reflection video coming soon to help you kind of understand, like, how do I know the difference? If this is real, or if my processing system is sending out the red flags for something that isn't truly a red flag. Which is going to be fun to make because I have all this information, but I have to really sit and gather it correctly to explain it to other people, because I've been studying psychology and all of that on my own for years. So to apply it to yourself is one thing, but to allow people to apply it to themselves is another. So it will take a little while, which is sometimes why the videos aren't at the pace that I would like them, because I have to build the structure of the video and build the concept, because self-love is such a general statement. So to have to like dig through, label it, build context on it, and then share it is a lot of work. But again, we're We're all going at our own pace, aren't we? Allowing yourself to take into account your off days, your less motivated days, the days that your mind isn't where you'd like it to be, the days that your body isn't at its full capacity. You have to allow yourself breaks. You have to listen to yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to hear what your mind or your body is trying to tell you. And to do that, you have to be aware of self. Again, I have an awareness video if you would like to watch that. I will be right back. You have to cultivate yourself. I mentioned this in my previous videos. Your struggle with building yourself isn't because you can't do it, or you don't know how to, or you don't have the capacity to. It's because you have to destroy what was there before. All of these constructs, all these ideas, all of these perspectives, completely abolish it. Get rid of them. Throw them all away. You're destroying the foundation that your life was built upon to then build from the ground up. So it's going to take some time. It's kind of a lot of work that you're doing. So give yourself some space. One, give yourself some space to work is what I mean. Not like distance yourself from yourself, but give yourself some props for taking the leap of faith to believe in yourself, but also give yourself some understanding and patience, because you're starting over. Like, not just starting over, you have to destroy to create. So you're doing way more work than it feels like. So it's going to take some time. It's going to feel hard. It's going to feel rocky. But if you look back at where you started, you're doing great. You're doing amazing. Which is why going at your own pace is important, because whoever they are that you're thinking about, who are working so much faster and doing so much, they're not aware of what you're doing over here. They're working on other things in their life that they may struggle with, or you're working on other things in your life that you struggle with. It doesn't mean that they aren't struggling, and it doesn't mean that you aren't either. It means that you guys are working at different levels of your life. Doesn't mean they're doing better than you. They can be, but it doesn't mean that they have to be doing better than you. It means that they aren't focused on the same aspects that you have to focus on, because we all go at our own pace, because we're all in our own lanes. So to compare it is kind of disrespectful to self, because they didn't experience your life. You did. And you didn't experience their life. They did. So for you to say, oh, my life should be theirs, it's confusing, because that's not you. You're you. So allow yourself to go at your own pace. Allow yourself to take into account the way that your body works, the way that your brain works, the way that you work best, the way that you learn best, the way that you understand best, the way that you can listen and hear yourself best, the way that you can communicate best. All of these things are different. We have different communication styles. We have different perspectives of the world. We have different processing systems. Your processing, the way that you take in the world, is based on your childhood, for the most part. And I'm not just saying the people that were older than you that shaped it. I'm saying that it's based on the mindsets and the ideas that you have gathered and just process quickly in your brain, which means you have to go back to that subconscious, which is, again, reprogramming, and figure out what parts of those are like, no, that's wrong. No, I just thought that too quickly. That was an assumption. That was a lie. That was just overlooking something, or no, that wasn't my fault, or no, that wasn't something I should be worried about. The stuff like that, you have to go through and really organize it. You have to get rid of the old ideas, like I said, abolish them, and create new ones. You have to replace these old narratives and ideas and concepts. You have to get rid of the victim mentality. You're doing a lot of stuff, man. So for you to be upset with yourself is kind of not helpful. Don't get me wrong. Feel your emotions out, but don't stay stuck in them. Feel your emotions, don't become them. And that's where the action comes in. You can have an emotion without acting on it. And I know that just blew some people's mind, but it's true. Sit with the emotion, talk it out with yourself like you're two different people. It'll help. But going at your own pace is, for example, I saw this video. I don't remember who posted it, but it was on TikTok. Because TikTok has low-key, like, there's so many life hacks, but there's also so many things that you can learn on TikTok that are, like, self-involved. Don't get me wrong, there's some weird stuff on there, but it was someone talking about ADHD. And I know not everyone has it, but this is just an example that you can apply in different areas of your life. Having a return to task. So, say you want to clean your whole house. Your return to task is the dishes. So you're like, I'm going to do the dishes. You do a couple dishes. You see the broom. You're like, okay, I'm going to go sweep. You sweep. Once you're done sweeping, you go back to the dishes. You're doing the dishes, and then you see something else. You do that, but then after you're done doing that, you return to the dishes, and you'll notice that your space is getting a lot cleaner. And you are still doing the dishes. It's a way to work with your mind and your own abilities, your own brain, and its capacity to work with the things that may have been altered and ignored in the past. Instead of ignoring the way that your mind works, work with it. If that makes sense. For people who have anxiety, over preparing is better than not being prepared at all. And I'm not saying like start building a bomb shelter preparing. I'm saying like, say you're worried about the next day, finding ways to ease that worry by preparing the day before. And again, it doesn't have to do with mental illness, but those are some tips for some mental health. I don't want to say illness because not mental imbalances. But anyways, going at your own pace is important. You have to take care of you. And you are the only one who knows the way that you fully work. Now, yes, people can see how you work on the outside, but I'm talking about in here. So really just taking that into account, taking in. And it's going to take a lot of learning about yourself. It's going to take a lot of teaching yourself. It's going to take a lot. I say this in every single video. I never said self-love was easy. I said it'll make your life easier. It's easier to be able to process your emotions than acting out of outbursts. It's easier to, I just got a hiccup. It's easier to understand yourself than to not know why you're acting the way that you are and why you can't change it. It's hard work, but it's easier when it comes to knowing self and not knowing self. And always expand upon these topics whenever you like, because you know I can go deeper. I can always go deeper. I can always go more in depth about these conversations. I love these videos. But yeah, so I'm going to leave you, or me and Miss Cupid are going to leave you with the question: what needs a new pace in your life?